Did you know that you can have a green living room without putting green on your walls? In my series of living room color palettes, this is the green one that a few of you asked for. And today I've got examples of lots of different green living rooms, everything from Mediterranean to modern and all in between. So there's one in here for everyone. And I think if you want to see the most surprising one, it's towards the end. What I think everyone can take away from these videos is that when you look at these green rooms, it's very clear that the people who put them together had a very crystal clear idea of what they wanted their color palette to be. And in many cases, you can see what set the color palette in the room. Many times it's the rug, or it's a specific piece of fabric, or it's a piece of art. And that is something that you can do in your room if you want to use green. Pick one thing that you really love in the room and use that to set the color palette for the whole thing. The other thing I want you to notice is the different moods of the room, because green can be there are warmer shades of green and cooler shades of green. And if you want a really cozy space, you can lean into the more warmer shades of green. But if you want a more calm and serene kind of feeling, you should lean into the cooler tones. So let's get started. The first one is a really Mediterranean style living room. And the color green is coming from the wallpaper, but it has a very warm feeling. The rest of the colors in the room are warm neutrals. In the second example, the color scheme is coming from the rug. This is a very dark academic style living room, but you could achieve this same sort of feeling without painting the walls all forest green, because there's a lot of things in the room that also bring the green in, the furnishings and the rug. But it also has a very warm and cozy feeling to it. Now we move to a more modern room that has a really light color palette that's being driven by the rug. You might start to see that as a pattern, that a lot of designers use the rug to help set the color palette in the room. In this next example of a more traditional green living room, I think the color palette is coming from the fabric, and specifically one pillow. You don't need something big to set your color palette. It can be one piece of fabric that you really love that's used in a small way in the room, but it can really help you to bring all the colors in the room together. Next is a more mid-century olive green living room. And this one doesn't have something really clear in the room that is driving the color palette, but this olivey warm green was used a lot in mid-century design. And this room also has a really warm feeling to it. Now in this traditional living room, this is where you can see that you can really get a lot of green in your living room without having the walls be green, because the walls in this room are a neutral color. But there still is a lot of green happening. And I think the color palette in this room is really coming from the painting, because the painting has a lot of the colors that are being used throughout the room. One thing I also want you to notice when you're looking at these rooms is that green is used in multiple places in the room. It's not just used in one place, as are many of the other colors. Sometimes the green is the dominant color, and sometimes it's more of an accent color. Now this is the one that really surprised me. This is a really eclectic living room. It's got pretty much every shade of green under the rainbow, and I think the color palette is coming from the chair that has kind of the crazy green upholstery on it, because it has lots of different shades of green that they've pulled throughout the room. Now, I think that this room could be just as effective if the walls were white and you use lots of different shades of green. And the last one is a really cool kind of Victorian green living room. And this one has a very calm feeling to it. If you're looking to build your color palette around green, the first step you need to take is to plan your space. You can either do that on a piece of paper or you can do it electronically. But I think it's really important so that you can see what pieces fit in your space before you start to think about the color of the pieces. If you want to try doing a floor plan on a piece of paper, I've got a free tool over on my website where you can print out all the different furniture pieces and you can just do it on a piece of paper. And I've got another video where I show you how to do that.